and that the meeting electronically is necessary to prevent health, safety, and welfare of Tennesseans in light of COVID-19 outbreak. Are there any objections? Hearing none, also note that today's meeting is being live streamed by Metro ITS on Metro Network 2. At this time, I'll ask the committee members to please let us know they are here. So roll call, Margaret Bem.
Here.
Glenn Farner.
Here.
We do not see Dan Hogan. So Frank Harrison.
Here.
All right. Also, I'd like to thank any of the other Sports Authority board members who are not on the committee for being with us this morning. All right, first up, consideration of the minutes from the November 19, 2020 meeting. On last Friday, you received a SharePoint link, which included the minutes to our last meeting. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the November 19th, 2020 meeting.
Motion to approve. This is Glenn.
Second, this is Frank Harrison.
Thank you, Frank. Any discussion? All in favor, and I'll just do another roll call. Margaret Bem.
Aye.
Dan is on. Dan Hogan.
Aye.
Glenn Farner.
Aye.
And Frank Harrison.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Motion passes. Next, we're going to change things around just a little bit. There's no objections to the agenda and have the Nissan Stadium update first. Janine is traveling. Janine Kaufman from the Titans is traveling, and we're going to try to get her report in before she gets on an airplane. So Janine, are you ready?
I'm ready. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thanks so much, John. And thank you so much for moving me around on the agenda. I really appreciate it. We got stuck with all the ice storms and such. And as John mentioned, I'm traveling today. So I'm going to be very brief, and I just want to walk through some high level of this financial information. And Quentin, if you'll scroll through to the ticket tax page. So y'all have this information. Again, the ticket tax summary, this is just a total, and this is what's kept at Metro level. So these are funds that are on Metro's books. And Quentin, if you'll scroll to the next page. And that's a summary. Keep going, Quentin. Keep going. I'm going to skip through most of this in the spirit of time. I know you guys have a lengthy agenda. Next page, Quentin. Right there. So this is the one I wanted to draw everyone's attention to. This was the final ticket tax or user fee recap for the Titans for the 2020 season. This is just the regular season, and you can see that we were able to generate about $239,000 worth of ticket tax for the 2020 season. Now, normally we're somewhere around 1.9, so this is short, and that was all due to capacity issues. And Quentin, if you'll flip to the next slide as well, this is a recap of our postseason. And so because we were able to have a postseason game this year, which we were super excited about, we wound up generating another almost $40,000 in ticket tax. And so if Quentin, go to the next slide, please, for me. This next slide is the one I really want everyone to focus on. And so as a reminder, I want to start off by explaining how we normally remit ticket tax, which is normally we remit an estimate of about 54,000 attendance per game. And we remit that in 10 installments starting on February the 20th. And each installment is an estimated payment of $162,000. This year, because of the amount that we had paid in February, March, April, May, and June and July of 2020, less the amounts that were, quote, earned for the 2020 season and 2020 postseason game, we have a credit of $692,000. So what we are doing is we're applying that credit to the first full 4 installments of 162,000, and then that leaves about $44,000 worth of overpayment that's going to be applied to that 5th installment. And so as we move forward in the 2021 season, this will be adjusted and we'll continue to track this as we are allowed with capacity and such. So we are approaching the 2021 season as if we're going to have a full stadium again. I'm going to pause here just to see if there's any questions on this particular page. One last note is I have talked to Bob Lackey at length about this and Melissa, and so the Sports Authority, Monica, they are totally in the loop on this and understand this concept as well. Any questions?
Those are paid in advance, right? If I remember correctly, you pay those.
That is correct. Those are estimated payments that we pay in advance starting in February. And we do that for the loan portion of the ticket tax. As you guys know, the ticket tax is pledged to different borrowings at Metro's level. And so, yes, that is correct. We pay those in advance. And then we true them up as the games are actually played.
Thank you for.
Any
Yep,
other questions
absolutely.
from the committee for Janine?
Okay, and if not, if y'all want to scroll down, Quentin, if you don't mind, keep going. This is just a summary of the capital fund, which has about 3.2 in it, and you can keep scrolling. Not a lot has changed in terms of those, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time. And then if you want to pause here, so this is our current receivable, if you will, from Metro. The big additions were additional money that's been spent for the water infiltration piece. And Quentin, if you want to scroll down, and then I'm ready for questions. However, I do want to point out a couple of items really quickly, which was in some additional information you got on update to our CapEx plan. Just really quick, we have put a temporary pause on the point of sale system that's going to be installed at Nissan Stadium, as well as the broadcast plant and control room. So we originally in our CapEx communication tool had planned those to start in the off season of 2021. However, due to the timing of the possible renovation of the stadium, those projects would be better spent and better planned for if we wait until we figure out the stadium renovation plan. However, we are going to move forward with 3 items. Most of the items were already on your anticipated list, but because we need to be PCI compliant for our point of sale system, we are moving forward with purchasing some point of sale contactless devices that will be installed in the non-club areas of the stadium. Those devices will either be used in the new system, or we would receive a credit for those devices once the full point of sale system is put into place. We are going to move forward with the intercom replacement and wireless camera system replacement. Both of those systems have reached the end of their useful life, and we need to move forward with those so that we can still maintain an event day production. And then one item that was new that was added was a DJ audio playback computer. And again, that system has reached the end of its useful life and is no longer supported by Windows. And that allows us to play back audio tracks and game day chants and things like that. Again, things that go towards the production of a live event at Nissan Stadium. And that concludes my report, unless there are any further questions.
Thanks, Janine. Any questions from the committee?
No questions from Margaret.
Dan?
None from me, thank you.
Rick Farner?
None for me. Sorry, I couldn't find the unmute button.
All right.
None for me.
Okay, sounds great. Janine, thanks very much.
Thank you, John. And then I'm not sure if you, Bob, I think Flynn is on the phone as well and, or on the call, and he had an update about the explosion that he was going to verbally give really quick. And then also I wanted to let the committee know, John, that I am leaving the Titans organization and I'm going to be consulting with them for a few months. That I'm really, after 24 years of being there, it has been an incredible opportunity for me. And I have really enjoyed working with each and every one of you on the committee. And I certainly will miss our monthly meetings and seeing y'all in person. So best of luck to you and please keep in touch. And Bob, I'll turn it over to you.
Well, I was just saying-
Before
Janine.
you leave, Janine, can I be recognized, John? Just a
Yes, ma'am.
second.
Yes, Margaret.
So Monica mentioned this to me earlier this week, and so as you gave this report, Janine, I kind of savored everything you said, knowing that it would be your last report. And I just want to thank you for how you have done your job all these years. I guess I've been on the Sports Authority maybe 11 years of your 24 years, and I have watched you give your reports. You are so clear, you're so capable, you're so credible, and I appreciate all that you've done to help us understand what the Titans do and the finances and the reports and your service also on the advisory committee and women in sports. So just the whole body of work. I want to thank you so, so much. And I wish you really the best. I'm glad to know you're going to be hanging around as a consultant.
Thank you so much, Margaret. That means so much. I've really enjoyed working with you and the entire committee. So I'm going to miss you guys.
Yeah, my thanks is also Janine. We'll definitely miss you.
This is Burke Nihil. Could I be recognized as well?
Yes, Bert.
I just know Janine won't probably be able to attend the full board meeting later today. So just as publicly as I can, I wanted to thank her as well. I don't think there is any corner of the Titans organization that she hasn't both served but helped shape. 24 years is basically the full existence of the Titans in Nashville, and she has just been in the middle of it from the beginning. So every good thing that has happened with the Tennessee Titans has Janine's fingerprints on them. And I don't think it's saying too much to describe her as an icon in the Nashville sports business after 24 years. So publicly, I just wanted to thank her as well and to recognize her on behalf of the organization.
Very well said, Bert.
Thanks, Bert.
Well, thank you all so much. I really appreciate it. And I'll still be around. I'm going to be in Nashville. It's my hometown. So I'll be cheering on the Titans from the stands and relaxing and enjoying the games and just really excited that I could be a part of the Titans history here. It's really been incredible for me. I mean, really at a chance of a lifetime, something I never dreamed that I would ever be able to do. So it's been wonderful, really, truly. All right, Bob.
Here on the,
There you go.
There he goes.
can you all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sorry about
Yes.
that. I was having some computer issues earlier, but the board, thank you for your time this morning. So as everybody knows, we had the explosion, downtown explosion on Christmas Day. And even though we're across the river, we did have some, issues or damage at the stadium. Nothing major, nothing structural that we've found so far. But when we came in here on after the explosion on that following day or two, I had my staff kind of just scour the building, going from the 7th level and going all the way down, just looking for different if there's anything that happened here. And we found a lot of fallen ceiling tiles had come down, or even now the framework of the ceiling tiles had kind of been busted up. The fire sprinklers, if you're familiar with them, they've got the escutcheon rings. We had some of those fall down on the ground. We did sustain a broken window pane on the club wall facing the river. I guess something came over from the explosion and it took out the outside pane. It's a double pane window, so we had to replace that. Probably the one that really got me going is I actually called Monica on this. On our third level on the west side, before you go over to the press row, we have a drywall ceiling there, and it kind of attaches to the glass wall that faces the concourse side. So when the explosion happened, the glass wall expanded outwards or flexed outwards, and our drywall ceiling went up. And so before it could come back into place, the glass wall came down and the ceiling was kind of stuck up about 2 inches above where it should be. So we did have a structural engineer come over and check it out, and he was not concerned. Okay, we got pictures up. I wasn't sure if you got that up there, Monica, or not, and I appreciate that. But we found so far we have not found any structural damage with anything. We are checking the glass walls on the east and west side, because even on the east side of the building, we had a mullion kind of come off the glass wall. We all go ahead. I'm kind of going along. Any questions thus far? If we can show those pictures, I did send over 6 or 7 pictures yesterday of just different. It's amazing. I don't know how far we're across the river, but that explosion was, as we all know, something very powerful. And it, nothing structural here. I think we probably got, right now we're estimating about $15,000 worth of damage. We fixed a lot of it ourselves, what we could. We put the ceiling tiles up where we could. We fixed the counter, the concession counter shutters where we could. But so far nothing structurally. That picture right there is of where the ceiling went up and the glass wall flexed out, and it just didn't fall back in place. So we had to come in there, lower it, and we had to cut the ceiling to make it look like a ceiling again. But that part is pretty much fixed now. We just have to get another coat of paint up there, and it should be done. But nothing really structurally wrong with the building at all. But just it's amazing the power of that explosion, and that it rippled over here, and we did, we had some issues from it.
Thanks, Bob. Any questions from the committee for Bob?
For me,
Yes, ma'am.
I don't have any.
Oh, sorry.
None for me either. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Bob, and thanks again, Janine. We'll move on to our next item. The next item is consideration of an agreement between the Sports Authority and the Nashville Convention and Visitors Corporation, approving an adjustment to the Convention and Visitors Corporation's 2020-2021 SEC Men's Basketball Tournament contribution. And I believe Monica is going to start the conversation for us.
Yes, thank you. And back in 2018, the Sports Authority, the Sports Council, Powers Management, and the NCVC agreed to enter into the SEC agreement. This agreement made it possible for the Sports Council to contract with the SEC to serve as the local host organization for the men's and women's basketball tournaments. And so under that agreement, the Sports Authority reimburses Powers Management for certain tournament expenses, and the NCVC contributes $100,000 annually to the Sports Authority until 2029, when the amount increases to $150,000. So as you all are well aware, the 2020 SEC Men's Basketball Tournament was scheduled for March 11th through the 15th, but was canceled after the first round because of COVID. And in your board materials, there's a letter from Butch Spiriton, president of the NCVC, requesting an adjustment to their 2020 and 2021 contributions. And there's also a proposed side agreement between the Sports Authority and the NCVC in the resolution that you see here on the screen. And so Butch is on the call this morning. We appreciate his time, and I'm going to turn it over to him to speak with you and to present the request.
Thanks, Monica. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Great. Thanks for giving me a few minutes today. I think Monica outlined our situation pretty well. The revenue that we have applied to the agreement is tied to an activity tax. And it would be an understatement to say there has been very little activity to generate that revenue since the SEC tournament began last March 11th. I think we had 2 games last year and the rest of the tournament was canceled. This year we are looking at best, I think 2,500 to 3,000 fans, if they decide to allow fans at all. So our request is to reduce last year's commitment by 50% and this year's by 40%. So any help is appreciated. Our own budget, which is separate from the activity taxes we manage, is down about 65%. So we're no different than everybody else. And we need any support and help we can get from you all. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Butch. Any questions for Butch from the committee or for Monica?
John, I actually have a question for Monica. It certainly makes sense what Butch is asking us to do. How does this affect, if it does at all, our commitment to powers management for what we are to pay them?
It will not affect. It will not affect our ability to meet our commitment to powers.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Margaret. Anything else? Anyone else in the committee?
If there are no other questions, I move approval of the resolution and adopting the agreement.
All right. Thank you, Margaret. Is there a second?
I second. This is Dan.
Thanks, Dan. Any discussion? Any other questions? All right. All in favor? Margaret?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
Glenn?
Aye.
And Frank?
Aye.
Thank you all. Motion passes. Right.
If I can just real quick say thank you for that support. And let me assure you, we are looking forward to the opportunity of paying the full amount in 22. Nothing I would like better.
Thanks, Butch. We hope everybody gets back to normal. All right. Thanks very much. Next up, we have a consideration of approval of a resolution approving an amendment to the lease agreement between the Sports Authority and MFP Baseball, LLC. Consider the approval of a resolution approving an amendment to the parking garage lease in the state of Tennessee and the Sports Authority. So Monica is going to walk us through this sort of combo item here.
Okay, our lease with MFP Baseball, the Sounds, gives the Sounds the right to receive and retain parking revenue generated on event days from the parking garage. So the Sounds pay the Sports Authority additional rent, which we call the maintenance contribution, for use of the state-owned parking garage. And then that additional rent that they pay is passed through to the state under our parking lease with them. Currently, the annual maintenance contribution is $132,000. There's an escalator, and so every 5 years, the amount increases by 10%. As a result of COVID and the cancellation of the minor league baseball 2020 season, there was no parking revenue. The Sounds approached us about a waiver or some type of adjustment. Because it is a pass-through, we had to begin conversations with the state. We requested a waiver, but we accepted the state's offer to extend the lease agreement, to extend that term out 1 year for a total of 31 years. On January 25th, the State Building Commission approved this amendment to the parking garage agreement. But of course, all changes to the lease are contingent upon approval by the Sports Authority. The parking garage agreement is Exhibit C to the lease agreement between the Sports Authority and MFP Baseball. So the authority needs to approve both amendments for them to be effective. And the proposed amendments, the resolutions, and also the original agreements were included in your materials on that SharePoint site. As usual, Margaret Darby has been tremendous through this process. Margaret, do you have any comments? Wanted to leave room for that, and also for Doug Scopel and Adam News with the Sounds if they have any.
This is Margaret Darby, and I don't have any comments, but I am available to answer questions if there are any about the agreements.
Thank you, Margaret. Thank you, Monica. Any questions from the committee? No, this is a little bit.
I have a question. Just in summary, what are the changes? Obviously, is extending it the only change, or how is that? Can you explain that again? Just in summary, so I have some idea what exactly it's doing.
This is Margaret Darby, and both of the agreements will essentially waive the cost required for the 2020 year, and in lieu of that year, it will extend the agreement out 1 year at the end, so that the ballpark will be used and the parking garage will be available, and the fee will be paid at the end of the agreement.
All right, I thought that's what you said. I just wanted to clear if there was something in addition to that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from the committee? Monica, was there anything else you needed to add before we go for a vote?
No, I don't have anything to add.
All right, I will entertain a motion to approve the resolution approving an amendment to the lease agreement between the Sports Authority and MFP Baseball LLC.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
I'm wondering, there are two amendments, is that right, Margaret?
That's correct. There's one amendment to the lease between the Sports Authority and the state. And there's another amendment that is to the agreement, the lease agreement between the Sports Authority and the Sounds.
Okay, so the motion is to approve the resolution in both those amendments. Is that right?
It's two separate resolutions, Margaret. The first one is just the amendment, lease agreement between the sport, and then the second one will be the parking garage lease in the state of Tennessee and the Sports Authority.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thanks for that clarification.
Any other?
Okay.
Oh, go ahead. Okay. All right. All those in favor, Margaret Bam.
Aye.
Dan Hogan.
Aye.
Glenn Farner.
Aye.
Thank you. Frank Harrison.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion, or any opposed? Our motion passes. All right, the second resolution is we need a motion to approve the resolution approving an amendment to the parking garage lease between the state of Tennessee and the Sports Authority.
So moved.
Thank you, Margaret. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All right, all those in favor, Margaret Bam.
Aye.
Lynn Farner.
Aye.
Dan Hogan.
Aye.
Frank Harrison.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Thank you very much. All right, next up, we have a consideration of approval of the fiscal year 21 position controls and ratification of the fiscal year 22 department operating budget. And I'm going to turn this over to Monica to walk us through.
Yes, thank you. And again, we're gonna change this one up a little bit too. My intent this morning was to present our annual mid-year budget update. We do this every year, and also to seek approval of the FY22 budget. If you had an opportunity to review the board materials, you know that as part of the current year update, we plan to address staff position controls. We have an open position that's the result of Eilish's departure late last year. I strongly believe that the position needs to be upgraded from an Administrative Services Officer 2 or ASO 2 to an ASO 3. We need a strong candidate pool, and we need someone who can perform higher level administrative duties, especially as a small 4-person department. I also strongly believe that we need to upgrade our second administrative position. This is Quentin's position, from an ASO 2 to an ASO 3, because there are some important responsibilities that I just really need to add to this position. Specifically, fixed and capital asset tracking is something I think that's very important, and we've just not had the capacity to do it the way that we need to. So in preparation for today's meeting, Melissa and I have worked with our budget analyst, Greg McLaren, with Bob Lackey, of course, as well as other members of the budget office and human resources. We believe the total cost to upgrade both positions, both salaries and fringes, will be between $22,000 and $31,000. The Personnel Committee met yesterday, and we were ready to seek recommendations and approval from the Finance Committee and the full board this morning. But in the meantime, we've learned that our current year insurance premiums, and this is for FY21, across Metro have significantly increased, and premiums for Sports Authority facilities are almost doubling. And so obviously there are implications for FY21 and also FY22, because next year's premiums will at least equal this year's. So having said all of that, the bottom line is that we still have some questions, and I'm not comfortable bringing a current year update or seeking approval of the FY22 budget until I have some more information. So my recommendation is that we delay the budget and position control discussion until the March 11th meeting. And hopefully at that point we'll have more and can have, I think, a more effective conversation. Are there any questions?
Any questions from the committee? Monica, that seems to make sense.
Yeah, this is Dan. I had a quick question. Monica, what's the process for approval of the recategorization of those two positions?
The process for approval from a budget standpoint, or from a human resources?
I guess more in HR. I mean, you'll have a definitive answer by the March 11th meeting as to whether or not they can be recalibrated at that.
Well, I think the first question will just be the financial piece. And as we have talked with human resources, they've said, we can move forward as soon as we get approval from OMB, from the budget office. So that's the piece that we are really focused on, is making sure that we understand exactly how the additional insurance billings and these position upgrades will impact the budget, because we really thought we were in a strong budgetary position to do that. And so now we just need to reevaluate and just look at where we are. And again, I have some additional questions for finance that I just need to better understand some things before we bring this to you.
Dan, is that okay? Anything else from you?
No, that's fine. Thank you for that, Monica.
Anything else from the committee? All right, hearing none, we'll wait and see what happens by March. Thanks, Monica. All right, next up, the MLS Stadium update. We have our project manager, and at this time, the project manager will give an update to the MLS Stadium. Jim, are you on?
Oh, is Kellen giving the stadium update?
We can barely hear you, Jim.
Jim, I'm here if there's a question.
Oh, the stadium update I thought you were giving today, Kellen.
Sure. I think the point of the discussion here today on this item at hand with the what's on the screen is just referencing a change order that was approved for the project. It's related to.
Yeah, Kellen, I'm sorry, I couldn't see the screen. Now I can. Yes, this is a change order, considered a Sports Authority generated change order. It is for soil materials handling on the site of the stadium. And within the agreements, Metro is responsible for this portion of certain material removals. And this will be a change order to the Mortensen Messer contract, and it's funded out of the MLS infrastructure project. And it's been projected for some time there.
So I think the reason that we're bringing this to the board, if you can hear me, is not because we need action, but because we had told the board that anytime there was a change order that's considered a Sports Authority initiated change order, that we would bring that to you. Chairman Glassmeyer has been attending our development committee meetings, and so he is in the loop and has approved change orders through the process that the board approved several months ago. But because this one is a Sports Authority initiated change order, even though the funding has already been determined and it will be funded from infrastructure, we just wanted to share that with you this morning.
Any questions from the committee?
No, John, but I certainly appreciate you sitting on this committee. Thank you for doing that.
All right. Anything else, Monica, we need to discuss around the MLS Stadium?
John,
Yes, sir.
John, I have a question. I guess it's for you. What are landfill tipping fees?
It's basically where you're taking, well, I'll let somebody from the MLS probably give a better description than I am. It's basically taking dirt away and having to pay for it to take it somewhere else. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's basically it.
And what was what was the change that we didn't anticipate that we requested?
This wasn't, well, after you do testing on the site, there's certain areas where you have to take soils to a special location for disposal. And in this particular case, the way the agreements are written, portions of the site are considered, have to be available and ready for construction. And this is one that prior to, it's Metro's property. So there's a certain amount of cleanup that Metro's responsible for. And this is part of the, I guess, cleanup, you could say. It's for, it's for special disposal of soils that were on Metro's property that they were responsible for removing.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, this is Ron Gobble. Can I chime in?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Jim's right. Basically, the agreement with Metro was with the Sports Authority and the team on the development agreement articulates that we'll have to deal with contaminated materials. And we hauled off literally millions of dollars worth of dirt out of there to create this thing. But about this, I think this is, I can't read the number, but it's somewhere around 67,000 or 63,000.
Yeah, it's just a little over 63. And we've had this item budgeted in the infrastructure for quite some time.
So it's something that we found during the excavation. And it was obviously made sense for the team's contractor to do that work as they were doing it And so we had budgeted in the infrastructure project, and all we're doing is allocating that way.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the committee? All right, hearing none, this concludes our agenda. Full board will take up the committee's recommendations along with our other items at 10:30 this morning on Metro Nashville Network 2. Is there anything else from the committee this morning? All right, hearing, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. We will adjourn. We'll get back at 10:30. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, John. Bye.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.org.